Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Sampath.
Okay.
Honorable Chief Minister of Pondicherry, Mr. Narayan Swamy, Honorable Ministers from the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency, former Prime Minister of Guyana, Her Excellency, former High Commissioner of UN Human Rights Commission, distinguished, and our beloved Dr. VRS.Sampath, President of Madras Development Society, distinguished Chancellor of VIT University, Honorable former Chairman of UN General Assembly, respected Chairman of Hindu Group of Companies, Mr. N. Ram, ladies and gentlemen, Vanakkam, good evening to you all protocols observed. Greetings from the Republic of Seychelles. I am delighted to be invited to address on this historical international conference. I am very thankful to all of you for having given me the privilege, time, and opportunity to share some of my thoughts with you only about Nelson Mandela, the Bharat Ratna, and the greatest son of Africa, without entering into the area of conflict. I mean conflict resolution and international peace, since other speakers specialized in that area have already covered it very well. Having said that, Mandela was not simply a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary or a political leader or a philanthropist, but ideologically an African nationalist par excellence. In the barometer of Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the Indian nation, I quote, "A man becomes great exactly in the degree in which he works for the welfare of his fellow men," unquote. And so Mahatma Mandela, the father of the South African nation, becomes the greatest in the list in every sense of the term and by any and every standard. The world has conferred on this great man more than 250 honors, including the Nobel Peace Prize. All these honors we do for him to commemorate his remarkable achievements in life by conferring of awards, naming buildings and roads, erecting statues, making publications, writing books, speeches on him, etc., may only reflect the minimum degree of honor we do for him. But the greatest honor one can do for this great man of principle is to follow and try to practice what he taught us from his own principle-centered role model life, and by applying his value-based principles in our day-to-day personal as well as social life, and serve our fellow men as he did. This would surely put his great soul to rest in eternal peace, since he always believed and taught us that service to fellow men is service to God. The last decade of the 20th century will not be forgotten in the political history of Africa. This was the decade in which the freedom struggle against the last vestiges of racial oppression in Africa came to an end. This was the decade in which Nelson Mandela wrote eulogy to his long walk to freedom. This was the decade in which the Rainbow Nation was born with the full blossom on the horizon of good hope. This was the decade in which the people of Africa, particularly South Africa, after experiencing a cycle of different political enslavements, discriminations, oppressions, and exploitations, eventually attained freedom from apartheid, the institutionalized inhuman segregation and discrimination. This is the decade in which Mandela marched his nation towards political transition to achieve political maturity and national stability. He set sail for the nation on a historic voyage from an apartheid state towards a vibrant, pluralist, free democracy with universal franchise. He succeeded in abolishing all discriminations against humanity in South Africa. He ensured that the torch of liberty, equality, and fraternity, which he lighted, was passed on from one generation to another to shine forever as steady as a lighthouse on the shores, on the mountains, and on the valleys of South Africa. Apartheid came to an end. Mandela realized his dream in the early 1990s. In 1994, Mandela was elected the first president of South Africa and a democratic government was formed. His political voyage began with a dream, the South African dream, if I may call it that, a dream of a modern, sovereign, democratic republic in which life was better, richer, and fuller for every South African without discrimination, whether based on race, color, religion, political belief, creed, or sexual orientation. He strived to establish a society based on equality of opportunity to enjoy freedom, justice, welfare, fraternity, peace, and unity. His dream was not based on an illusion, but on a vision that sprouted from his ability to go beyond the invincible and touch the future with his rainbow fingers. His dream was not about problem solving, but the preemption and prevention of problems. The people of South Africa thus decided under him to rewrite their own political destiny, and they did so with a style of their own. It was a historic promulgation of President Nelson Mandela on the 18th of December 1996, and the Constitution came into effect on the 4th February 1997. South Africa was born after much brainstorming, reflection, ideological debate, and intellectual labor, and finally delivered through by promulgation of Nelson Mandela. He proclaimed that the Republic of South Africa is a sovereign, democratic state founded on the values which all civilized nations believed in: the human dignity, the achievement of equality, and the advancement of human rights and freedoms, non-racialism, non-sexism, the rule of law, and universal adult suffrage were the cornerstones of his political philosophy. Through his political wisdom, pluralism flourished. People celebrated unity in diversity. He recognized and appreciated the contribution by people of different races, colors, tribes, and origins, including Indo-African and particularly of Tamil origins, for the evolution and building of the Rainbow Nation. The South African dream has now taken shape with roots that give it a stronghold on ground realities and wings that give it the ability to reach new heights. On a personal note, I would confess that Mandela has always been and is still my political hero the African continent has ever produced. Having said that, I would like to recall a blessing of my lifetime. I once had an opportunity to personally meet this great hero in Pretoria, that was in the year 2001, on the fringes of a Commonwealth conference. The memories are so vivid, deep, and the tall figure, I would say in every sense, is still inspiring me. Before I conclude, I should mention that reading and rereading of his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, has always given me a unique experience and inspiration. Every time when I read it, I recall an incident happened during his terrible prison life over 27 years in Robben Island. Tears would roll down when I empathize with him, recalling his own words of unbearable hunger, shivering cold, covering himself in a gunny sack, weakness due to fever, waiting for 2 slices of bread and a glass of milk, but that too on one particular night, giving even that scanty food to his fellow prisoner as he was then shivering and dying of high fever in the adjacent cell. But this great man survived, though made of flesh and blood like you and me, really walked on this planet and preserved his life over 27 years of isolation in prison for a cause he believed in to achieve. Recalling that night, Mandela writes in his Long Walk to Freedom, thus, which I quote, "Human body has an enormous capacity for adjusting to trying circumstances. I have found that one can bear the unbearable if one can keep one's spirits strong, even one's body is being tested. The strong convictions are the secrets of surviving deprivation. Your spirit can be full even when your stomach is empty." Unquote. What an inspiring philosophical thought and guiding principle for all of us to follow. This is what exactly even the great Tamil saint, philosopher, poet Kumaraguru of the 17th century says in his treatise, Neethi Neri Vilakkam, thus in Tamil, "Meiviruttam parar, pasi nokkar, kan tunjar, evavar தீமையும் மேற்கொள்ளார், செவ்வி அருமையும் பாரார், அவமதிப்பும் கொள்ளார், கர்மமே கண்ணாயினார்." Meaning in English, those that are resolved and focused on doing a thing with strong spirit, never mind their bodily exertion, feel no hunger, feel no sleep, care not for the hindrance of others, regard not the unsuitability of time, and never mind the scoffs or scorns of others. They don't see what is thrown on them, whether flowers or brickbats. They indeed survive all deprivation and suffering and eventually succeed in achieving what they wanted to and had resolved to achieve. Before I conclude, I must say the greatest glory of a man lies not in never falling, but in rising every time he falls. This is what Nelson Mandela believed in his life and taught us. And on the issue of peace, since I haven't touched the topic, what I believe to be a relevant quote from John F. Kennedy when the United States of America was facing a Cuban Missile Crisis, when the Cold War was at peak with the Soviet Union. He talked about peace, which I believe is very relevant today in the Asian context. He said, "We want peace. We want peace with Soviet Union. We want peace not because we are weak, but because we are strong." I think this message conveys a lot of things to India as well as to neighboring countries. Thank you very much. I thank you all for your kind indulgence. May God bless Bharat.